we're going to be
and floundering miserably.
we're going to really upset the guy who left a comment on the last video.
Oh, you mean on
Did you see
YouTube?
Yeah.
Where he was saying that it started at like 20 something or whatever because we talked forever.
We didn't start talking about the main topic until like halfway through or something.
I'm just like, he's like, this review is horrible, and I'm like, well, it's not really a review. I mean, I guess it is, but
it was a review. You spit roasted it.
Well,
not really.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can say whatever you want. The criticism
I feel like
is fair.
We should address the criticism we get. Although, I mean, that's kind of the format of the show. So
yeah, I'm like, shit. This one comment has fucking screwed our entire lives, Matt.
I think it has.
Shit. This podcast is now defunct. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good. How about you, sir?
Good. Yeah, so I was just talking about, I guess Stallone's talked about Demolition Man 2. And I was just like...
Oh, really?
It's on one of those sites like Screen Rant where it's just like, he said
Clickbait.
One quote, so they made like a huge article about it, and they're like, when could a Demolition Man 2 release date happen? What's the cast? And I'm like, well, him saying, I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but I think it would be awesome, like, for it to happen with Warner Brothers, like, yeah. I'm like, Demolition 2 release date, when's that? And I'm like, dude, the movie's not even fucking written yet. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, that's when I realized that, like, journalism is dead, is how you have tons of articles now that are like, so-and-so wants something.
Exactly, and it becomes
like that's not news.
Right.
That's not news. It's clickbait.
Yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree.
I'm putting you on blast, internet writers.
Yeah, for the most part, like 99% of them are like lazy. I mean, that's even kind of like how TV news be even when we were growing up. It was like the beginning of that was like, you know, they would have a story about some kid that like saved a cat or some shit, and you're like, okay, this is a bullshit fucking article. Who cares? You know what I mean? But I guess that's what happens when you have to come up with something every single day to talk about. You're gonna run us something interesting. Okay, let's get on to the news. Speaking of fucking shit journalism, hopefully we won't disappoint.
Right. I've got some important topics this week.
Okay. Well, how about you lead it off and show them how it's really done?
Well, I have to report that the Kenny versus Spenny Jew Year's Heave special
that we watched
was a train wreck.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any. I don't think I've ever seen anything so done so poorly on purpose. Because I've seen shit happen. Like, we've seen stuff that's been like purposefully done like poorly, like for comedy's sake. But after like the fact, and we found out, you know, like probably like 1/4 of the way through that it wasn't for comedic effect, we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Also, it was like, at first I couldn't tell who was like, whose end was messed up, but it was like clear after we found out that, like, I guess Spinny was hosting the whole thing and doing it on his end, that it was pretty fucked up, dude. Like, you could hear, like, so, like, the audio for everybody was messed up, and they eventually got it working, but even then, like, it was not great. Like, you could hear Spinny perfectly, but Kenny was, like, really, really bad. It was weird, because before, you couldn't hear Spinny at all, but you could hear, he was, like, echoing, and then you could hear, like, Kenny fine. So they, like, somehow were able to get both people on opposite times. You couldn't hear shit from them.
But by the time they realized, it was like 10 minutes in, and they'd already gotten through like all the content that they'd prepared.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much like 30 minutes in, and like they finally got it completely fixed to a degree. I mean, Kenny's audio is still like super quiet sometimes. And it was like,
So yeah.
And you kept hearing like some like dude talking in the background sometimes, and he would like breathe. So it was like he was obviously hosting it, and they had someone else like doing stuff. Right, exactly. Yeah. People were like, "Who is that guy breathing into the mic?" And I was like, that and like they had this thing where Spinny kept asking for like fan questions, and like one of the dudes was like, "Oh, there are no more," and he was like, "How's that possible?" Because there were like, how many people were on there? At one point there was like,
there were about 1,000.
There was 1,000. At the beginning there were like hundreds, but yeah, it got to 1,000 at the very end. But dude, everybody in the Discord was like flipping their shit, and in the comments too, because they were like refunds, because of how bad it was. But it was funny, but it was just kind of like, the fuck.
I mean, I had to report on that news because it pretty much shocked the world.
Shocked 1,000 people that were there.
Yeah. But it did remind me of how great that show was.
Yeah.
And how Kenny's right, there'll never be anything like it again. Because what they did was so outrageous and like not acceptable now.
Right.
It'll never be topped.
It's kind of a different era when, like, I guess you could say, like, horrible stuff and like you wouldn't be condemned by the majority of people wouldn't condemn you for saying like, or like gay bashing.
Yeah, it was ancient history, man. The early 2000s.
Yeah. Back when everybody was horrible. Well, not as much, because now instead of like gay bashing being horrible, now it's like racist. It's like running rampant everywhere. Anyway, do you have any other news, sir?
No, but I see in the comments a couple people are happy to hear we're reporting on this important news that everyone needs to know about.
Nice. Good. Awesome, man. I saw, or I didn't see, well, I guess I did see it, but Creed 3 is going to be directed by, like, Creed star himself, Michael B. Jordan, which I thought was kind of cool because he's pretty talented. And I think Sylvester Stallone directed fucking Rocky at one point, didn't he?
Yeah. He might have done a couple of them.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know. I feel like sometimes there's not like a ton of like info sometimes, especially with like movies kind of being in limbo to a degree. I think some of them are still like being shot and stuff, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's definitely not as like rampant as it used to be, because now it's like, you know, people are kind of on hiatus, or they're like kind of getting back to like shooting to a degree with COVID and stuff. But you know, I mean, James Bond was supposed to come out like fucking 10 years ago, and they keep pushing that horse shit back, which is another topic for fucking discussion. Fucking those idiots.
I don't know. Did you see Creed 2?
Yeah.
I mean, it was good, but
yeah,
I didn't love it. And
I thought, like, I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of the whole, like, I mean, I guess I kind of, like, honestly, like, I feel like the idea of, like, him getting revenge for his father's death was, like, something that if they were going to do it, they should have done it in, like, the first movie. Because it was kind of, like, I don't know, the whole, like, Creed fighting, like, the son of, like, you know what I mean? Like, because you knew that he wasn't going to, like, kill him in the ring, so it wasn't, like, going to be, like, the exact same thing that happened. But then again, like, fucking him killing him in the ring was kind of like, why the fuck isn't this guy in prison? You can't just, like, kill someone in the ring and, like, I don't know. I guess in the movie they portray it, like, as an accident, but, like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing for, like, someone to just die from being fucking boxed to death. When you think about it.
Big world.
I can't think of it. I don't really follow sports, so I don't know how often that actually does happen. At least recently. Like, when, like, a boxer gets fucking murdered in the ring by another boxer on accident by like punches in the fucking face.
Yeah, I think it happens quite a bit.
Really?
Like not on the the heavyweight national level, but in all realms of boxing.
Huh. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You think they would have like stopped boxing by now if like people were getting fucking killed left and right? Because if like if wrestling was like that, they would have stopped it a long time ago.
What are you talking about? Those guys drop like every other day.
Not in the fucking ring.
Not in the ring.
Yeah, but... and none of that is due to wrestling, like directly because of a match. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like fucking someone got slammed in the ring and then they die.
But that does happen. Like, Didn't that happen to Rey Mysterio?
No.
Or he did. He killed someone. Actually.
Yeah, I mean that was a freak accident, but like,
but it does happen.
That's the one time it's ever happened, though.
No.
Yeah. What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
What's another example?
I don't know, but I'm sure there's been others.
No.
All right. I'll have to come back to you with some more data.
Yeah, you will.
I'll have it on your desk by Monday morning.
Actually, I'm looking it up right now. Oh, shit. I guess there's at least been 10, apparently. But one of them wasn't, I mean...
more like 10,000.
That's literally more than there are wrestlers.
Not if you include, like, backyard wrestling.
Well, none of this was due to, like, actual moves, though. It's, you know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, it does because...
the argument.
No, the argument... I mean, so, like, boxing, how the fuck would you die in a boxing match?
By getting punched to death.
Yeah, that's directly the cause of the death is the sport itself. But like half these people died of like a heart attack or some shit. It's not because like, it's not because like say Ric Flair put a dude in a fucking, hold and he fucking died like instantly.
Someone got put in the master lock and they couldn't get out.
And they just turned into a skeleton because he held him there for like 10 years. Yeah, people, it's like heart attack, and I think, I mean, so that, a lot of that stuff is due to, like, the lifestyle, but that's not because, like, Owen Hart's the only person I think that I know of that's ever died from a direct result of something that happened in the ring, and that was, like, he felt it was death.
Well, he felt, but that wasn't wrestling either. That wasn't...
Exactly. So none of it has been, like, actually because somebody did a move on somebody.
Like, the Heartbreak Kid didn't super kick his head off or anything.
Right, like exactly. I think that's what I'm trying to say is, like, unlike boxing, where, like, the deaths are a direct result of fucking physical contact killing the person, this is, like, somebody had a fucking heart attack and died in the ring, or somebody, like, fucking fell to their death due to a fucking, like, entrance or something. Not, like... he put or like a suicide, that kind of a thing. Now, some of that is due to like, somebody with maybe they have to take pain medicine because of their like, the injuries they've taken over the years, but like...
Yeah, they're roided up.
Yeah. But, anyway, we got kind of big time off track there talking about Creed and then fucking murders in the ring.
Okay.
I guess all I'm saying is it's a great movie. It's just a little unbelievable that fucking, even with him throwing in the towel, people were like, he just fucking straight up was like, I'm dead.
Yeah, and going back to Creed 2, like, I was not clamoring for another Creed movie after that because they kind of made the character of Creed, like, whiny in that movie.
Well, I mean, even if he wasn't, I feel like that character's kind of, like, done.
Yeah.
Like, he got, like, what else does he do? Like, he faced his father's, like, killer and his son, and, like, after that it was, like...
Now he has to kill Rocky.
And, like, Rocky, like, beat cancer. So, like, what the fuck else is there to do? It's like, if that would have been maybe a third movie and that was it, but, like, I don't know. I think since that one made a certain amount of money, they're like, okay, it's Creed 3. But I agree, I'm not really, like, clamoring for another Creed movie. Even though I like
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan, I'm not like, oh man, Creed 3.
Me too. I thought Creed 1 was great.
Yeah.
And in Creed 2, it was awesome to see Dolph Lundgren actually get
Right.
like a big part in a big movie. So
that was all due to Sylvester Stallone. So it's like,
yep.
But yeah, I think we're totally in agreement that it's kind of like don't really need a Creed 3, but I'm sure they'll keep going with it. How they keep making Indiana Jones movies, even though he's like way past his prime.
Well, hopefully we can get some more Demolition Mans. Now I'm pretty excited about that. I know.
But, okay, so, do we have any recommendations? Let me move it.
Recommendation Nation. Ding, ding, ding.
25 deaths on the ring and counting. All due to Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio killing 100 dudes. And my recommendation this week is Kenny vs. Spenny.
Nice.
Show. If anyone hasn't seen it or doesn't know what that is, it's probably the greatest reality show ever made and one of the greatest TV shows ever made.
I cannot disagree. I will say, like, if you're gonna watch it, like, probably stay away from like some of the later seasons. It started to get a little fucking out of control as far as like. I don't know. I feel like the later seasons, even though Kenny always says that they're like not scripted, I feel like the later seasons got a little too fucking out of control, like with the shit they put in them. That was like, okay,
yeah,
kind of like the earlier seasons, like stuck more to the format. But I mean, it's if you start liking it and watching it, I'd say watch all of it and then kind of make your own decision.
Yeah, and even Spenny has said that he like played into his character
right
at some points, like allowing stuff to happen to him that probably wasn't totally real, but still.
Dude, he was haggard as fuck in the live thing. I was like, I thought it was a joke at first, but I was like, is this a joke or not? Because they were talking about how like, I guess he had tried heroin and like crack at some point, or coke, and I was like,
yeah.
The fuck, dude? What is going on right now? Like, I thought they were like just playing into like, you know, like a joke and stuff, and then like come to find out that like he's on hard ass times,
problems in his life.
Yeah, it all started with the drinking competition.
It's a drinking competition.
Where like fucking Spenny had like had fake beer and he had real beer, and it was like.
And by the end, it's like, I've never seen a human being more drunk than that.
Somehow
like
Spenny didn't throw up, though.
Yeah.
I was like, huh?
Yeah. So any recommendations from you, or should we get to the main event?
I'd say, I don't know if we've talked about this before as far as on the podcast. Maybe we have, but if we have recommended Cobra Kai, then I have another one. But Cobra Kai, great show.
Nice.
I actually just watched all of season 3 yesterday like a fucking idiot. I couldn't stop watching it.
Did it hold up to the first two?
Yeah.
Nice. Can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to watch it, because I definitely want to like talk about like stuff that happens. But yeah,
sure.
Great show. So,
yeah. Surprisingly great, but legit.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where like, you know, a lot of, I mean, we talked about Creed, and that's kind of like the same thing. It's like a continuation or a reboot. Not really a reboot, but like a modern day thing of like Rocky, but like they did it better. They do it better with Cobra Kai, because they realize like to kind of keep like it like about half and half, maybe more so like with the adults, but also have the kids be a part of it. But it's not like a whole like Spy Kids thing where they're like, hey, let's just, you know, completely get what you really love out of the picture and like focus on these kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, like, for the most part, the actors in Cobra Kai are good. Like the young actors, it's just, I think that they understand that like what people are really there for is more story with like these original characters from like Karate Kid.
It's the
1,
William
2, and
Zabka
3.
show.
Right.
And who knew he would be so good?
Yeah. Because up until this point, I mean, he played, like, bad guys throughout the 80s and stuff, but he also did, like, bit parts in movies here and there. But yeah, like, there was never really a time where he, like, you know, was like, hey, this is my, like, show that I have. Like, it's never, like, where Peter Falk got, like, Columbo, or, like, you know, What's-His-Face got, like, Monk, or, like, and that was kind of their big breakout. It's like, you know, he played little parts in movies here and there. So it's nice to see, like, him actually, like, you know, become, like, the focus. And it's interesting to see, like, from his point of view and stuff. And
Yeah.
like, things are not always black and white like you think they are. I wish
From
more,
his point of view,
more movies.
Daniel-san is the villain.
Then you truly are lost.
Quiet!
But, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I think I wish, like, not like every single thing would get something like that, but it would be nice if, like, more movies and TV shows would, like, look at that aspect and be like, it's not really evil versus good, it's more so, like, there are, like, just different sides to the same story. There's, like, this person's side, that person's side, and then there's the truth somewhere in the middle. You know. And the people that are bad guys don't think they're bad guys. They're just, like, you know, they think they're the hero. And I think that's how you write a good bad guy, too. Well, quote-unquote bad guy, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, let's just move on to the weekly topic of Demolition Man. I had to look over. I keep forgetting this fucking movie's name for some reason. So, Matt.
How could you forget one of the greatest titles ever?
Because I always forget. Like, everything every week. I have to look over and see it. Matt, what is your favorite sci-fi movie? Putting you on the spot.
Probably
again.
Demolition Man.
Nice.
You
Easy
say
enough.
that every time you ask.
Okay. I'm like, Matt, what is your favorite Demolition Man movie? You're like,
like Demolition Man 2.
Cliffhanger. Okay, so for people
My serious answer and boring answer would be 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Nice. Okay, yeah, I mean that's a classic, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. I watched it again recently, and I was like, this movie is so much better than every other movie that's ever been made.
The ending's a little fucking stupid, but
what?
Yeah.
The ending is what takes it to the next level of greatness.
The guy didn't know how to direct.
What's his name? Like Stanley Kubrick?
He doesn't know how to fold a toilet, that's for damn sure. No, it's a great movie. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I guess for me, maybe like The Thing, but I always say that.
Good call. That's why it's hard to, because I would consider that more of a horror, but it's also sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi horror, but I mean, there's a lot of things in 2001 that are like horrifying too, but it's not a straight up horror. Okay, so for people that don't know what Demolition Man is, look it up. No, I'm just kidding. Demolition Man is a 1993 American science fiction action film. I would also say probably comedy, because there's like a lot of funny shit in this movie, and not like it's stuff they like intentionally made funny, not like what the
correct.
Fuck.
It's a straight up comedy.
Directed by Marco Brambilla. Okay, in his directorial debut, it stars Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, Sandra Bullock, and Nigel Hawthorne. And yeah, the story makes allusions to many other works, including Aldous Huxley's 1932 dystopian novel Brave New World and H.G. Wells' The Sleeper Awakes. So yeah, it's okay.
Hey, we finally made it out of the 70s with our
movie
trips.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
We're almost to a new movie, even though this movie's almost 30 years old at this point.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Cool. So, I'm going to go ahead and start off as usual here. So, let's see, where are my notes? Here we go. Okay, so, first thing I have here is...
well, hang on. Before
go ahead, sir.
The details, like, you'd never seen this before, or you'd never sat down and watched the whole thing,
I haven't. Right? I know, I've never seen it.
So, are you now, like, a
what?
A fan of this movie?
Oh, sorry. You're like Mike every once in a while. You're like, and I was like, cool. Are you a dad? Are you a dad? I was like, what? Yeah.
Are you
I think this is like. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil this here, but like this is probably the first movie where I don't think I'm gonna have anything negative to say about this movie.
Nice.
This movie.
I have some negative stuff, but overall,
this movie. I think is definitely not the most like. So like The Howling and like The Wicker Man and Black Christmas are like, like fan and critically like thumbs up. I don't know how well this movie did with like, I think like audiences probably liked it, but critics tend to not like good movies. So like they're looking for like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But I think this movie was fucking awesome. A lot of action movies can get like shit and like a lot of stuff won't make sense. But like, I mean, there are things I found in here that like, I'll make fun of and stuff, but it was never anything that like pissed me off. It was like standard action movie trope, stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I give this movie 2 thumbs up.
Nice.
Fuck the haters. What about you? You're like, this movie fucking sucked. I'm like,
I've always been a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Stallone's made so many awesome movies. Like, it's not probably my top, but
right.
It's a really fun, silly action comedy.
Yeah, I mean, like Sylvester Stallone is kind of like Schwarzenegger. He's got so many iconic roles. I mean, Rocky, Rambo,
John Spartan?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like one of those things where it's like those movies had multiple sequels, and this is the only one so far that's been made. So it's like, but the character is very, it's very Rocky, Rambo, tough guy, Schwarzenegger kind of thing.
Yeah, but he does crack some jokes too.
Right, yeah, but I mean that's kind of I think that's kind of a thing that like Schwarzenegger and him both do in his movies to a degree. I mean, this is more jokey to a degree, but
yeah. I think my favorite was where he's like, hurting people is not okay. Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, great comedy from Stallone.
I'm like, this movie is great. Okay, so that's a review.
I love the poster.
Yes.
We need more posters of just like 2 dudes just staring at each other.
Well, just make a poster of every fucking shitty wrestling match ever.
Yeah.
Because it's literally like dudes nose to nose. Before they do like the contract signing. Oh my god. Why do you have to have a contract signing? These 2 fuckers are already under contract. What the fuck? It's like, it's the bullshit they do in boxing matches where they do the weigh-in. It's like, fuck off. Just let them fight. I guess in boxing matches it makes sense because it's not like you get a chance to like talk shit before the match like you do in wrestling. They give you a mic and you can just talk for like 2 hours. Okay. Yeah, so you want to get into the notes here, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, my first note is the Hollywood sign burning Los Angeles 1996 comes up on screen, and I was getting like Real Escape from New York vibes from that because I was damn.
I thought the same thing, and this is almost like Escape from what Escape from LA tried to do, but better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only movie I've seen with like Carpenter where he was like, I think he had just got a fucking new computer and discovered CG, and it was like a bad deal.
Yeah.
And then the freaking city is in ruins. It's like Terminator style.
Yeah, it's like a total war zone.
Right, no, because it's like you hear like all kinds of shit like shooting, and people are like, yeah. And it's like, what is going on?
It's like people randomly firing Uzis all over.
Like, okay.
And already it's like, this is one of the greatest movies ever made.
I was like, huh? So, we get into like the infiltration scene, or like infiltration part. So when I was watching it, I was like, dude, I'm feeling that this is like Stallone is like Batman and Wesley Snipes is like the Joker. Because like how crazy like Simon Phoenix is and how badass John Spartan is, it's like very reminiscent of that like dynamic. and it's
definitely.
like
I
very
had
cool.
the same note, and we can talk more about Wesley Snipes, but I've always thought that like he's basically playing the Joker in this movie.
Yeah, I actually had a note later on that was like, dude, they should or could have cast him as the Joker, and it would have been like a huge hit.
Yeah, he would have been great.
He's a little bit more violent sometimes than like the Joker is, but he's definitely like he was more
like he's laughing his way through this movie like as a villain.
Right, he was more funny than like I think Heath Ledger was. So he's like he encapsulated like almost all of it perfectly, to me at least, for like a Joker that I like, where it's like comedy, like he thinks everything's funny and like all this other shit, and it's like Jesus. Yeah,
hey,
but it was great.
You gotta send a maniac to catch a maniac.
I was like, okay. Which actually
Stallone says to himself.
Right, which actually kind of makes sense, though, because, like, people say that a lot about Batman, too. They're like, this guy's a fucking crazy person because he dresses up like a bat and he goes after people. You know what I mean? It's like, eh? So... This is my. I think this is. I only have a couple of these, but this is my only note. This is my note that I actually like. Was kind of like a what the fuck. So Sylvester Stallone knocks out Wesley Snipes, and he's carrying him away from the fire as they run out. The camera zooms in on something, and it's like barrels next to the fire. And on the outside, they say C4, and I'm like, I don't really know what to say. I've never known C4 to be stored in barrels, but I have no idea. And then I like looked it up and found nothing on storing C4 in barrels, but I did find this. So C4 cannot be detonated by a gunshot or by dropping it into a hard surface. It does not explode when set on fire or exposed to microwave radiation. Detonation can only be initiated by a combination of extreme heat and a shock wave, as results from the insertion and firing of a detonator.
Yep.
So that's like one of those like total movie cliches where like...
Well, the physics in this movie is not...
Right! Well, not only that, but like my next note says, the whole building not only explodes, but demolishes itself and effectively implodes while you see Sylvester Stallone running. He's still in the building when it explodes.
Yeah, you never see how he gets out of it.
Yeah.
He's just running, and
right.
It explodes, and then he's okay.
He's walking with a sergeant, and he just has a little dried blood, and I'm guessing explosive residue on him, and that's it. Like, he's completely fine other than that. And same thing as Snipes. He's just like...
Yeah.
But yeah, Snipes is... And my next line was, Snipes is the Joker in this movie. Because, like, he's even, like, weaker than, like, than Wesley Snipes. Like, it's not really a contest when they fight that first time. Which I thought was awesome, because it was like the bad guy knows and that's why he plays dirty tricks and shit. It's like
that's my big criticism of this movie. If I had to pick one, is like there's lots of cool action, but the action is not the most well done.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
I feel like a lot of action movies kind of around this time either had like awesome action sequences or they were like not that good at all.
Yeah, they needed like James Cameron or someone like that to like truly make it direct the action. But like even the stunt where he bungee jumps out of the helicopter and he's like Phoenix, he screams Phoenix as he jumps. But like that makes no sense because he just bungee jumps, but then he's just on the roof. And like, wouldn't he bounce back up?
Yeah, well, the whole part about that I thought was kind of weird. Not the whole part, but like throughout this movie, there's parts where he's trying to shoot at people and he's like missing, and he tries to shoot at Phoenix and he misses. But in the first scene, he bungee jumps in, and as he's falling down, he kills a guy shooting him while the guy misses him. Like the one guy's like not stationary, and like for the most part, like Stallone is. He's literally just falling straight down. So, like, if they were to just shoot up at him, he would have been fucking dead. But they miss him. He kills them. And then he kills, like, two other dudes. And then there's, like... He, like, kills a guy, goes through a window, then, like, jumps through another... It's like he goes through this whole acrobatic shit and, like, is completely unscathed. But, like, later in the movie, there's parts where he, like, completely misses, like, Snipes multiple occasions. I'm like, dude... You would think he would be... Maybe he's, like, got a perk on where he's better when he's moving.
Yeah.
He's like, I can
But even that stunt, where he bungee jumps is a great stunt, but like it's not shot very well. Like you can't really see
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like he jumps out and you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Because it's like you see like it's shot in like pieces for some reason.
Yeah,
and it's also like from a weird angle.
Right. And there's a lot of the action is like that, but even the explosion, which was a real explosion and was amazing. It was either like they actually blew up that huge building or it was like a miniature, but either way, like it wasn't really photographed that well. Like
it was just straight on.
Yeah, and it like blew it, like the screen just turned white basically.
It was like a picture of like a house at a realtor place. It literally was just a face on picture of the front of the house. I was like, yeah.
So did you notice that of course you have the captain who's like yelling at him like, you're out of control.
Yeah.
You can't keep demolishing
right.
things, Demolition Man.
Right.
Did you notice that's the captain from Lethal Weapon?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Because later on in the movie, in like, what's her face's like office, she has all this like 20th century stuff because she's obsessed with the 20th century, and she has a Lethal Weapon 3 poster on the wall.
Right.
And like
classic.
The one with like Joe Pesci, and he's like, like poking it through the middle. It's like,
It's like tee.
Yeah. Let's see. So there were bodies in that building that exploded. Holy spit. Sylvester Stallone is being... So, like... that building explodes, and the next scene, like... Because, like, we're led to believe that, like, the hostages... Because he's going in there to, like, get Phoenix and, like, save these hostages. And, like, we're led to believe that, like, they were alive and fucking, like, they blew up. And they instantly are like, okay, well, you're going in cryostasis.
Yeah, like
he...
Okay, so he betrayed the police procedures so badly that he becomes, like, a super villain.
Well, like, to me, it also didn't make sense because they didn't know that his actions had any result on their deaths.
Right. Like, the building had just exploded 1 minute ago. And they're like, well, you're going to jail. Snipes.
Right. How do you know that, like, Snipes didn't do that himself regardless? Or he wasn't going to, like, kill the... You know, like... Which, you know, spoiler alert, we find out later that he had already killed those people, and that's why they didn't detect the heat signatures. He had already killed them, and, like, he framed fucking Sylvester Stallone for those murders.
So he knew the Demolition Man so well that he knew he would single-handedly try to kill Phoenix, and in doing so demolish the entire building. It makes no sense.
Well, that and, like, he would, like, know they wouldn't do any fucking autopsies on the bodies. Like, I'm pretty sure that, like, he didn't, like, char them and shit before he killed them.
Hey, Demolition Man's gotta demolish.
But you know what I mean? Like,
can't help it. Yeah, it's crazy.
So this scene where they're, like, leading him down a hallway, and he's in this weird kind of see-through plastic body bag outfit with no head attached to it. It's like a plastic onesie. And then edit, I say, okay, so it's not a onesie, it's a two-piece with a see-through pants and, like, an Ebenezer Scrooge nightgown top. I was like, what the fuck is this? It's like one of those things they think is, like, futuristic, but, like, they would never put that on anybody. You know what I mean? Like, William Smithers, the scientist, Mr. Smithers, Waylon Smithers, no relation. I saw, so, because they do the credits over this pretty legit looking model of, like, oh wait, no, we're not there yet. So Jesse Ventura's in this movie. This is gonna be fucking awesome. I mean, it was already awesome at that point, but
yeah, I didn't actually notice him until the end. I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, I think that's actually the only time that he shows up is at the end. Okay, so let's talk about the quote-unquote sentence that Sylvester Stallone's character, I think we kind of already did, but, like, he's being put in cryostasis, so essentially he will serve his entire sentence in the blink of an eye to him, which later on you find out that's not true, but at the time it was, like, they say that, like, it pretty much, like, you'll fall asleep, and you'll be woken up. And I assume so if you have no friends or family, it wouldn't really matter how long your sentence is going to be. In fact, it would probably be better because you'd wake up, and as long as there were no issues with the actual containment unit, you would be completely fine, and you would wake up and there being better medicine and pretty much everything. So for someone that they cared enough to put in this kind of sentence, I don't understand what the downside would be. Like, I can't imagine, especially with how bad things looked in Los Angeles, that everyone gets this kind of treatment, but I have no clue. I mean, especially with how overcrowded prisons are these days in the year 2021, but, this is 1996, so maybe in the past things are better.
Well, we do find out that it's, like, only the worst of the worst criminals that are actually so bad that no one cares when they're all just killed at the end of the movie.
Well, not only that, but, like, if they're so bad, why even put them in cryostasis? Why don't they just fucking kill them? Like, it makes no fucking sense. Like,
the Demolition Man demolishes their souls. And
these people are so horrible, so wretched, so, like, unredeemable that they want to, like, spend billions and billions of money, like, dollars, to try to rehabilitate them in these procedures, so that one day, a maximum of 80 people will be rehabilitated out of, like, thousands and millions of people that got fucked by them. It's like, this makes no fucking sense. I don't know who came up with this idea, but they're fucked. So the cryostasis part is really weird because, like, I noticed that, like, when they put him in the cryo chamber, he has to, like, duck down in, like, a tube. So, like, what if somebody didn't want to, like, duck down and they were like, fuck you, I don't want to do this? And was it, like, cut him into two pieces? Or would it just, like, stop, like, an elevator door because it's not strong enough?
All good questions.
I don't also know this. He's, like, completely naked, like, in Austin Powers. But this is, like, pre-Austin Powers. So, like, I'm pretty sure Austin Powers, like, took some fucking ideas from this, because when he gets thawed, like, defrosted, they, like, do the exact same shit, except for there's not, like, that weird, like, liquid goo phase. They actually have it at the beginning here where they, like, that part is this
encased in a liquid goo.
Like, like, actually, I have a shit ton of notes just for this cryostasis part, because it's like, the more I watch him putting him into cryostasis, like, the more I'm questioning, like, how or why they would do this way, because it would just be easier to, like, flash freeze the person and more humane, because it's like, he looks like he's fucking drowning. Yeah. Like, and then, like, they, like, flash freeze him, and he's like, fuck. And, like, so, like, for the next 40 years or so, he's gonna have that stupid fucking look on his face when people, like, look at him. You know what I mean? Because he's like, hurt! And then it's like, he freezes, and you're like,
Well, not only that, he'll be shipped to all the Planet Hollywoods all across the nation.
It's true. All around Hollywood.
Did you ever see one of those? Did you ever go to Planet Hollywood?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to, like, I think a couple of them. Or I did, back when they were, like...
Did you see the Stallone naked model?
Yeah.
I'm like, nothing makes me hungrier for the burger and fries than
naked
looking
dude.
at Sylvester Stallone's taint.
Their food there was, like, so-so. It was pretty much just going to, like, check out the cool, like, Hollywood artifacts and stuff. Did you ever see that picture I sent you where it was, like, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and, like, Bruce Willis, and, like, Bruce Willis was wearing that, like, Planet Hollywood shirt, and his, like, face, he's, like, shocked. He's like, oh.
Yeah, that's
like,
classic.
What? So his release looks to be on August of 2032, which is 11 years from today. 11 years from this year, 2021. So, John Spartan's coming up.
Just think about how many Demolition Mans there are out there.
If that were true, we'd be, like, fucked. Or would we? So I like how Rob Schneider's character, he's doing pretty much like an automated message as a human, asking if they would rather have an automated greeting, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, there's some pretty funny stuff in this movie. Some good writing.
Yeah. Their greeting is a little weird. They, like, put their hands within, like, a millimeter of each other's hand and do, like, a circular motion. And I was like, I guess this is, like, pre-COVID don't touch the other person thing.
Exactly. They predicted COVID.
Yeah. They predicted COVID in the past for the future.
Right.
Even though none of them are, like, not within 6 feet of each other. Defeating the whole purpose.
And they also use different greetings.
Right.
Like mellow greetings. which I think we should adapt that.
Mellow yellow greetings.
Mellow greetings.
It's
sir.
not as good as other shows. Okay, so I was like, it's the warden from Shawshank Redemption looking like freaking Dr. Evil. He's like the police chief or whatever.
Is, I noticed was played by Andre Gregory, which is the guy from My Dinner with Andre.
Oh, you mean like the warden for like the prison?
Yeah.
I meant the police chief is the warden from Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Gotcha. I forgot there was an actual warden in this movie too. I was like, the warden from Shawshank Redemption looks like the warden from Dr. Evil. You're like, what?
But that just made me think, like, if there's any movie that's the total opposite of Demolition Man, it's My Dinner with Andre. It's funny that dude would be in both.
Right, yeah, true. So they have these, like, little things that when you say, like, a bad word, you get charged money. And I was thinking,
it's like the swear jar.
Right, I was like, man, I feel like I would be, like, a broke son of a bitch in the future. I'd have, like, no money. Because I'd be, like, cussing every 5 seconds.
Well, you'd be like Stallone, just use it for toilet paper.
Yeah, true.
He's like, I'll be back in a few minutes.
I was like, huh. It's like, fuck! Wesley Snipes again. Okay, so we have the this is another part that, like, I didn't understand. It was awesome, though. But, so, like, Wesley Snipes escapes jail, like, in an awesome way by ripping out the warden's eye and using it as a retinal scan.
Right.
But he knows the password to unlock the cuffs, but it's kind of stupid that they wouldn't put a password in something like that. Like, why? So, like, if you have, like, a prisoner and, like, somebody just tells him the password, say his friend that's, like, working there, he can just, like, get out. Like, what's wrong with, like, having an actual lock and key or putting, like, the password on the back, like, where you have to, like, type it into, like, a panel? Like, I don't know how he, like, accessed it, but maybe it's, like, a voice activated thing or, like, a thought thing, because it literally just unlocks and he's like, how'd you know the password? So I'm like, that's really fucking stupid for them to, like, make that be like that. You know what I mean? Like, if a prisoner knew the password, they could just fucking get out like that.
Well, it's like that with any system that's online now. It can be hacked.
Well, no, not really, because, like, literally that's all he would have to... He would just have to say it or think it. But, like, if it was, like, say... Well, yeah, okay, so, like... Oh, shit, whoops, I just deleted half my notes. There we go. I think what I'm trying to get at is, like, it doesn't make any sense to, like, have it be that way, because if... So, say, like, you locked me up, and then, like, one of our friends told me the password, but it was like a couple of... It was, like 7 numbers or something. And he told me the password, but the lock was on the back of my chair. Like, I'd never be able to reach it because I'm already locked up. It wouldn't matter if I knew how to hack it. Like, I can't get to it. Whereas, like, if all they could do is tell me the password and, like, I just had to say it, I could just say the fucking word and it would fucking unlock. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what I'm getting at. It's like...
I think you're making me think that this futuristic prison might have some...
But then again, this also goes with, like, the cops don't have fucking guns. There hasn't been a fucking murder in, like, since, like, 2010 in this fucking, like, realm. Which is, like, it's almost 2032, so, like, you know, these like, the cops and, like, the law enforcement are completely, like, pacified against, like, any sort of, like, actual, like, crimes. So...
Which leads to the great line... We're police officers. We're not trained for this kind of thing.
Right? Yeah, that cracked me up. Which is, like, the opposite of today.
Exactly.
So then I have, like, a note about murder, death, kill.
Yeah.
Which is, like, the stupidest fucking thing ever. Because it's, like...
It's hilarious.
Murder, death, kill. I was like, so with all the So, like, I said this, I was like, so with all the technology that I have in the future and the cameras... I would assume on hand, why didn't they see him killing? But then, like, they actually do show, like, the camera at the prison and stuff, and show that, like, the warden actually was still alive, and then he, like, passes away, and they, like, see him pass away. But, like,
Yeah.
my gripe was, like, why call it murder, death, kill? It's like, murder and kill are kind of the same fucking thing. That'd be like, you know, asphyxiation and strangulation. Like, not only that, but, like, usually they just say, like, you know, the person is deceased, and then, like, later on at an autopsy or whatever, they can find out if it's, like, a murder, an accident, or a suicide. You know what I mean? Like, they're just murder, death, kill. Murder, death, kill. It's like, huh?
No, he didn't murder him. He killed him. He deathed him.
It's like, huh? Wesley Snipes was, like, cussing at that terminal, and that was, like, the funniest shit ever, because he was, like, it, like, charged him, and he's like, fuck you.
Yeah, he's so good in this. He's got the iconic look, too. With,
yeah.
Like, the blonde hair.
Right, and it's, like, cut in a specific way, and it's, like...
Yeah, looks badass.
But this is, like, the part where the movie goes from serious to, like, pretty much, like, a cartoon in one scene when, like, the cops come, and it's, like, playing this, like, weird, like...
The sound effects?
Offbeat hip-hop sound effects every once in a while. But then, like...
I love that. I wish they would have done that through the whole movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
I mean, it definitely wouldn't have been an action movie. It would have been, like, a goofy comedy, which would have been... I would have been completely fine with that. But it would have completely, like... changed the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
They would have probably had to taken out all the... Actually, it would have been funnier if they didn't take out, like, the killing and it was just, like, goofy sound effects when that shit happened. I'd be like, what? Which at the time I didn't understand what was going on because, like, he grabs a guy and throws him out of a car, like, 10 feet. And I'm like... But when he does it, it's like...
Strength.
It's like cartoony sound effects, so I thought it was literally like a joke when that didn't happen. Because it was like, whoop, and I was like, I'm confused. Something is going on, though, because he seems to have been programmed with ways of doing stuff that he would have no way of knowing to do that stuff now, and he's, like, way stronger. You know what I mean? So, like, I didn't understand at this point in the movie, because, like, I think if they hadn't put those sound effects in there, it would have maybe made more sense, because they, like, it's like if somebody tells you something serious, and they're like, just kidding, but they're like, actually, but I'm serious. And you're like, well, are you telling the truth or not? So then there's a guy here dressed like a Jedi that has compact disc for a belt. But then later on, it was actually, I was like, wait, it looks like everybody wears these, like, Japanese formal dressings as, like, the guys, and the women still wear just, like, regular dresses for the most part, at least high society people do.
Yeah, like kimonos and stuff.
It's kind of, like, an interesting thing. It's kind of like, I don't know. The process of unthawing Sylvester Stallone's character is very reminiscent of what happened in Austin Powers. So, yeah, there's another note on that. So this part I was kind of shocked by. So, like, John Spartan had a wife, which up until this point I had no clue, because you don't see him, like, flipping out about it when he's frozen or anything. I would assume somebody that would, like, actually have, like, a wife and a kid, like, something to live for, would be like, this is bullshit or something, but he just kind of, like, skip it when he gets frozen. And apparently she, like, died in a fucking earthquake in 2010, and he also has a daughter that he, like, never contacts in this movie. Which, like, and he doesn't even know if she's alive or not, which I thought was kind of, like... I thought it was kind of...
He's almost like, I don't want to know.
Right, but it was also kind of weird that, like, he didn't... It seemed like, it's like... I think, like, when I made those notes in the beginning, I was like, oh, this guy has nothing to live for. Who gives a shit? But he's got, like, a fucking family. So it's like... But when he gets frozen, he's like, fuck it. I mean, he's not like, fuck it, but, like, if I had, like, a family and shit, you know, like, say I got frozen, I'd be, like, flipping my shit, because I'd be like... By the time I come out, my wife's gonna be, like, fucking, you know, like, older than shit or dead. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
That's why you're not a Demolition Man.
I know. I don't give a shit about anybody, apparently. Or I do, but he doesn't. Even though he cared enough to ask about her, someone you'd never heard of until this moment in the movie. I feel like that was just something they put in the movie to like give him kind of more of a soft side.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. I see through his bullshit. So I have a list of things that are actually illegal in 2023. So are you ready for this list, Matt?
Let's hear it.
So, they don't specifically state this, but they say that you can't have cigarettes because one of the first things he asks for when he wakes up is a Marlboro, and the guy says okay, and then he doesn't know what that is. But cigarettes are illegal, which I go on to say that I guess tobacco completely is illegal. So tobacco, these are the things. Besides tobacco, this is what they list: alcohol, caffeine, contact sports, meat, bad language, chocolate, gasoline, uneducational toys, anything spicy, abortion, and even pregnancy if you don't have a license. So, yeah.
That's where we're headed.
All the fun stuff. But that's where we're headed, yeah, right. Maybe abortion. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on who's in office. Seashells in the bathroom instead of toilet paper. So that's classic. But I actually went one step further, and I did some research into how they intended this to work. Do you know how this? Oh. Have you ever heard this before?
No.
Okay. So. No, you're good. So, how they were supposed to work was actually revealed by Stallone in 2006, in an interview. And so he explains that like a writer told him, like, you hold two of the seashells like chopsticks and gently pull, and then you're supposed to like scrape what's left with the third.
Gross.
Yeah. Which I was like, what the fuck? Like, even if, like, it wasn't gross, like, people in the future must have, like, really fucking raw assholes. If they're scraping fucking shit off their asses with, like, seashells.
Yeah, I kind of wish that I didn't know that. Like, it's better just to not know.
Yep, I know, right? I had to do that research, and I'm kind of shocked I found anything about it because there's so many articles that, like, talk about, like, well, maybe in the sequel we'll find out how they're supposed to be used. And I just, like, looked it up, and, like, even though that might not be official, like, Stallone said it, so it's about as official as you can get. And, like, he heard it from a writer that was on the movie, so, I mean, regardless, that's fucking stupid that you would go from, like, toilet paper to, like, seashells. Like, bidets were invented then. Like, what the fuck? Like, what do you do with the seashells? Throw them away? Like, I don't know. I guess that just raises more questions. Like, how's everything else in this, like, futuristic thing, like, awesome, and that's, like, a fucking backstep? So, Sylvester Stallone meets his old friend, like, the black dude, the helicopter pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing you were talking about, where he, like, fucking cusses, and he's like, I'll be right back, and then he, like, goes over and, like, says a bunch of horrible cuss words to the machine to make it print out all these tickets, and then he goes wipes his ass with the tickets, which is, like, awesome. I was, like, cracking up.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
We did skip over one thing I had.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The cops are, or maybe we didn't, but where the cops are trying to apprehend
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. And they don't know what to do, so they're, like, following a checklist.
Right.
But the thing that cracked me up the most is, like, they refer to the perp as a maniac.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing is like, tell maniac to get on the ground.
So, are all criminals maniacs in the future?
Especially when, like, I'm sure none of them are, like, even close to, like, Wesley Snipes, because none of them there hasn't been a kill in, like, since 2010. So it's like, what's the worst thing people have done? Like, hit somebody, I guess?
Yeah.
He's a maniac!
The maniac has responded with a scornful remark.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that guy was like not. That was like watching mall cops try to take down somebody. Yeah. It was like they had nothing. They didn't they didn't even have guns. Like they don't have guns in the future for like cops, which I was like shocked. They at least have those like stun batons, which like you just hit somebody and it knocks them out apparently.
Right.
Which was actually kind of a legit weapon, because like, I mean, if you're close to a bunch of people, all you'd have to do is just like fucking knock them out. It's like you just have to contact them. It's like damn.
Kind of like a taser.
Yeah, but like it's instant. It's not like a taser like takes a while and it can like fucking kill somebody by giving them like a heart attack or something, or like fucking them up. But that literally just they fall asleep.
Yeah.
So Wesley Snipes going into a museum where they keep the guns because, like, I guess that's...
And ammunition.
Right. yeah, actually, I had that same note.
I understand the guns,
right.
But why the ammunition?
Yeah, they don't normally keep ammunition next to the fucking guns, like, especially with, like... I mean, I've been in a couple museums, and, like, if they have any sort of, like, relics, they don't keep cannons and then, like... a bunch of gunpowder and like a fucking stack of cannonballs next to it. They're like,
the fuses.
Go to it. I'm like, cool. But like a bunch of people go by him, and I don't know if they're like Asian or what, but he like makes fun of them racially. Like they might be, because he goes like ching chong, and I was like, what the fuck? It was just like so out of nowhere. I was like, heh. But I mean, he is a maniac, so.
That's true.
The Hall of Violence has the same font as like Diablo the video game's font.
Nice.
Which I thought was pretty legit.
So 90s.
Yeah. It's pretty funny that Stallone says, "I'll drive," gets in the front seat, and then has no idea what he's doing, and then he tells Sandra Bullock to drive. He was like, "I'll drive." Then he gets in, he looks around, he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he's just like, "You drive." And then they're listening to.
What did you think of Sandra Bullock in this movie?
She was great. I thought she played like a pretty good, like naive, like she played like all the rest of the cops, like super naive, but like she had like a little bit of like interest, like she was super interested in the 20th century, so she was like a kind of like almost hero worshipping like Sylvester Stallone, because he was like an actual like badass.
Yeah.
Like she played like the, you know, like super naive character. She was almost kind of like a like, I don't know, like she's almost like a character of like a bygone era. Like, you know what I mean? Like
right.
The sidekick that like almost like the Robin. Like like
right.
There were no like allusions that she was in any part like on equal footing with like John Rambo, or not John Rambo, but like John Spartan in this movie. She has a cool fight scene and she can like handle herself, but like she was just super naive, so it was like there were no illusions that like she, you know. But yeah, I thought she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I thought she was awesome in this.
Yeah,
it was like her first big movie, even before Speed.
Damn. So they're listening to a station with just all commercials, and they're not even like commercials from like when like John Spartan went to sleep. They were like commercials from like the 50s or something, because they're like singing like wiener, like hot dog wiener commercials, and like fucking like Nobody Doesn't Like Sarah Lee and shit, and it's like, what the fuck?
It's really weird.
Yeah. Some of the fights in this movie are pretty legit, like the one in the what is it?
In the museum.
But like it was shot kind of weird, because there are parts where like when Stallone fires the gun at Wesley Snipes, like it's almost like they should have cut it, like they should have started filming a little bit earlier, because all you see is like him shoot, and then you see like Snipes running away, and then it's like the aftermath of the shot almost. Like they miss all the good action sometimes, which is kind of like, it was just like you were saying, it's shot in like these kind of perplexing ways.
Yeah, it's just not the best.
Yeah.
But that is a pretty cool scene. Like, pretty much the Demolition Man laying waste to the
Yeah.
the whole museum.
And, like, the 90s, or, like, yeah, whenever it was that he, like, that, what is it, 1993 or something, when he got put to sleep. Like, they had unearthed under the museum, like, I guess, like, a old city block, and they were fighting under it when they broke through the glass. So, but this is the part of the movie where, like, it's shown that Nigel Hawthorne's character is controlling Wesley Snipes. Like, he's been reprogrammed, that had given him upgrades and information, since he's supposed to go after the character that, like, we haven't talked about yet, but, like, Dennis Leary's Edgar Friendly's character, which he's like in charge of these underground, like, radicals, but, like, all they want is to, like, do what they want. They don't want any, like, bullshit, like, government and stuff telling them what to do. They just want to be able to, like, eat what they want and not be told to not you know what I mean? Yeah. They want to be able to smoke.
Pretty
they
much
want to be able to.
Dennis Leary, like, he wants to do what he says in his stand-up.
Yeah. I actually have a thing where I talk about that, where it's literally he kind of goes on a little stand-up thing, and then he gets back to his, like, the movie, which was pretty legit. But, like, Stallone meet his match and licked his ass. Another Sandra Bullock, like, quote in this movie. Where that's her thing. She keeps, like, fucking up, like, quotes and, like, what's it called? Like, stuff like so that. Good. Yeah, so it's like there's a bunch of them.
At one point,
here.
She's like, "Let's go blow him."
Yeah, actually, have a thing. She's like, "Let's go blow this guy."
Blow him away.
Like, let's go blow this guy. And then he's like, they're gonna accompany Nigel Hawthorne, like, to the Taco Bell, and apparently, like, that's the only restaurant in the future is Taco Bell, because, like,
it won the franchise wars,
right?
Which is also where we're heading.
Yes. Well, we'll see if fucking they keep taking away menu items. They won't have anything left to fucking serve. Oh, this fucks.
Yeah, Mexican pizza was the last straw.
I haven't been there since that, and they got rid of the double-decker tacos, and, like, they don't have, like, the Fiesta potatoes anymore either. It's like, what do you have on your menu? Like, so they're driving to Taco Bell, and, like, she tells him about the 61st Amendment. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger was so popular, he became president, even though he wasn't born here. They, like, the public unanimously were like, fuck it, let's make him the president of the United States. And they have, like, archives of John Spartan's exploits in the Arnold Schwarzenegger archives. Which I thought was, like, awesome.
Yep. Throughout the 90s, those guys always would reference each other in their movies.
Yeah. Like in, what was the one movie? Is it, like, Last Action Hero, where, like, in that movie, instead of, like, Schwarzenegger's the Terminator, it's Stallone.
Right.
In the blockbuster or whatever. So it looks like actually all the suits in high society are actually, like, Japanese formal wear, like I said. It's like, okay. That's interesting. Just kind of a random thing.
Kind of Bill and Ted-like.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, actually, when I first saw, like, the future, I was like, I guess that's kind of, like, what a lot of movies thought people would be wearing in the future, because, like, it's a lot of this, like, out there fashion, like, just kind of like Bill and Ted fashion, like, in the future, like we were saying, like, okay. So now, like, we get to the part where, like, you find out that, like, throughout all those years of him in cryostasis, he actually was, like, conscious for all that, knowing what was going on. Which is,
yeah,
like,
it's basically like a living nightmare.
Right.
Nightmare
right. And I was like, that's, like, worse than if he was just in prison. It's like, the only upside is that he didn't age, but he, like, lost his wife and never got to see her again.
Yeah.
So, and apparently, like, she came there and, like, cried and fucking screamed and shit. And he saw it happening, and he couldn't do anything about it. So, yeah, that's fuck it up. Let's see, wait. Oh, Stallone looks pretty awesome. I don't know what you want to call it, but he's wearing this kind of, like, kung fu outfit deal. Because he takes off... It's weird because he's, like... He peels away the layers of his outfit, and as he peels it away, he's got different, like, I don't know what you would call it. Not like, I don't know if it'd be like Asian, but like, you know what I mean? Like different kinds of outfits. Because the first one's like this kimono thing to a degree, like a Japanese formal wear. And then he like takes that off and he's like wearing something else. And then he finally takes off the last layer and he's wearing like a Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee kung fu outfit. So it's like, huh? But it's pretty sweet. It looks way cooler than Steven Seagal ever looked wearing one of those things. Because Steven Seagal's like a piece of shit.
Let's not go there.
The sex scene was like a freaking Caesar-tastic nightmare. That was like fucking horrifying. There were funny parts in that though. Where like, because they like she says, "You want to have sex?" and he's like, "With you?" and she's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Okay." And then like he thinks they're gonna have sex, like, and like she brings out these like fucking headsets, and it's all like virtual, and they start doing like, you know, they start having sex, like, but it's all like, I guess, I mean it's what it is, but like he starts making these weird faces. He's like, "Ooh, ee," and it's like at first you think he's into it, then he's like, "I can't do this shit," and it's like, "Hey." So I have like best line in this movie after they confront Kagato. That's the part where I was talking about where like she says, "Let's go blow this guy," instead of "Let's go blow this guy away," and I just started cracking up.
Well done.
John Spartan goes, so they go underground to like go after Wesley Snipes and tell Dennis Leary that like Wesley Snipes is trying to kill him. And John Spartan goes and he like gets a burger and beer, because I guess they have that stuff still underground. It's like the lady's like, "It's a rat burger," and he's like, "This is made of rat?" And he's like, "It's a pretty fucking good burger." And he just like eats the whole thing. I was like, that's how great. Hard up for food he was. That wasn't like, I guess, the stuff that they had like, yeah. And then I
wrote down the best line of this movie though. "You're gonna regret this for the rest of your life," both seconds of it.
Yeah, I didn't understand that when he said that.
He was about to murder him.
But he didn't murder him, and the guy's been alive for longer than 2 seconds. I thought it was funny, but I didn't understand it. I was like, what? I feel like that was like half a quote when he said it. I was like, eh. It's still
like a Duke Nukem line.
A bad one from like one of the 20 sequels. So I put Dennis Leary is fucking awesome in this movie. I think it's a shame that he wasn't in more stuff. Like, I know he was in a couple movies and he had that like fireman show and stuff, but like, even though he's like known as a comedian, it seems like he knows his way with words like really well. He kind of did like his stand-up spot where he talks about eating all the high cholesterol stuff you want, but then he like transitioned right back into giving his lines about like, you know, the movie and stuff. But yeah, there's a legit part where he like talks about, he's like, "I want to fucking," you know, it's pretty much his stand-up. He's like, you know, "I want to eat high cholesterol when I want to eat it. I want to smoke 100 cigars. I want to like run through the streets and put gel on my body if I want to naked." And I'm like, okay, that's like public indecency, and that's against the law regardless of the time period. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree. He's good in this and good in general.
Yeah. But Jesse Ventura was on screen for like one scene. He comes back later for like another scene, but yeah, he's...
Also, apparently Jack Black was in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, like he was... I don't know if he was in deleted scenes, but like he was one of the denizens of the underground.
Oh, okay. I think I remember hearing about that, but it must have been a deleted scene because I didn't remember seeing him.
That was like few years before he became famous.
Kind of weird that Sandra Bullock didn't know how to use a regular car, because she's like driving it and didn't know, like, which I'm assuming like they have auto drive in the future, but like in the beginning of the movie she says engage manual, so she knows how to drive. So does it just like automatically control, like when you take manual control, does it automatically control like the speed, or like, because she seemed to like accelerate and decelerate? So is it just like on a button and not a pedal now? Because if so, I feel like that's like I don't know. It's weird.
We'll never know.
That's true. Kind car chase was like very reminiscent of Lethal Weapon, which I thought was pretty cool. Car chase.
Yeah, that was good.
Get to the part where like you find out that like the bodies that were in the building with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone were killed already by Wesley Snipes. So Sylvester Stallone got put in jail for something he didn't do, which is actually true regardless. But like I said, it's weird they didn't do an autopsy or anything. I needed the bodies to see if they'd been shot.
Even then, I mean, he was trying to save the hostages.
Right. I mean,
if he failed in his mission, that's not.
I mean, they put him straight to fucking jail. Like, I mean, like, there are actual people today, like police officers, that like they've killed innocent people and they don't get jail sentences. This guy like goes after somebody, arrests him. It's like literally, it'd be like if Batman fucking arrested the Joker, you know, because he went on a huge fucking killing spree. He finally got the maniac in jail, and then like a hostage died, and they like fucking locked Batman up for like 50 years with the Joker. It's like, how do you know that fucking like Batman didn't have anything to do with it? You know how many more people would have died if fucking Simon Phoenix hadn't been put in jail by fucking the Demolition Man? You know what I mean?
You're
like,
preaching to the choir.
What the fuck? And that's like the one thing in this movie that just doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, the whole like incarceration thing is like, what? Okay, so even though Simon Phoenix's strength is like amplified, I'm assuming like John Spartan is like was stronger than him. So it's been like, I guess they say it's been amplified. Like he's like his strength's been amplified like 3 times. But like, I'm assuming like, yes, okay, so like I'm assuming like at this point, Simon Phoenix is like stronger than John Spartan in this movie. So like he's able to like flip him out of the fucking car, even though like Simon Phoenix is stronger than him, like with no problems. Which I was like, eh. Then again, he was kind of like leaning into the ground, so maybe like. Actually, I really don't know how that worked, dude. And then there's this part where he's driving the car. Sylvester Stallone, he can't like control it anymore. He can't like engage the manual steering or whatever. Or no, he does eventually engage it, and he has to like. He can't control it with his hands, so he has to like tell it commands. And he says, "Right turn, you Mickey Mouse piece of shit," and it like crashes into the police station fountain, which I thought was cracking up.
Good stuff.
So, like, when he crashes, like, this foam comes out, which is, like, pretty interesting. Well, and it's, like, very brittle after the crash. But it, like, seems like a fucking horrible idea, because if you, like, go unconscious and you, like, you would, like, suffocate.
Or wouldn't the foam, like, go into your orifices?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, too. Because it's, like, when it comes out, it's all straight up liquid, and then it, like, hardens. But not hard enough to, like, kill you. It's, like, hard enough to, like, stop. It's kind of like it becomes, like, a cushion around you and everything in the car. But it's, like, it made, like, the door able to be, like, completely just kicked off. Or not kicked off, but was there even a door on the... No, the door had already fallen off. So what if, like, the door hadn't, like, come off already? You know what I'm saying? You would have been fucked.
Well,
I guess it's good not to think about
technology works
in the
about
sequel.
11 years.
Simon Phoenix can't kill Nigel Hawthorne's character, so he has Jesse Ventura kill him. And they just throw his body into the fire.
Yeah, they're like 1, 2,
yeah,
3,
and they throw him in there, and his leg like just sticks up. It's like, hey,
because it's an obvious dummy.
Yeah, and so the dude from Beetlejuice is gonna work for Wesley Snipes now, which is that was awesome. Stallone. Wait, hold on. Oh, Stallone asked Sandra Bullock where she learned to kick like that because they have a fight against these bad guys. And she says Jackie Chan movies. And I was just like, dude, has there ever been a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan, and like fucking Stallone?
Not until Expendables 4.
It's kind of sad, dude. that they haven't been in a movie together, honestly.
Yeah. No, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a note about the fire, because, like, we're actually on my last page of notes here, so... Or wait, no, we're not. Yeah, we are, okay. Sorry. So, we just talked about a couple of seconds ago that, like, they threw him into the fire. So they get there, after... So, like, Wesley Snipes sees them, like John Spartan and Leona Huxley, show up. After they've killed and thrown the dude into the fire. They fight a couple people, and that takes no more than a couple minutes, and then they go up to the top, where Wesley Snipes is, or was. So they threw him in the fire a couple minutes ago, and, like, by the time they got up there, his body's, like, fucking just, like, ashes and clothes. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, oh, poor, Dr., Leader Kagato, or whatever the fuck his name was. And, like, I was like, either the fire was extremely hot, or his clothes and body were, like, extremely flammable. Because it was, like, instantly, it was like... there's a scene where, like, Jeffrey Dahmer, like, they're talking about, like, people they're gonna thaw out, because, like, Wesley Snipes goes to, like, the cryo prison and starts, like, having, like, everybody start thaw out all the criminals so he can have, like, an army of, like, bad guys.
Maniacs.
Yeah. Maniacs, yeah. Cryocorps, or cryo, what do they call them in the movie?
Cryocons?
Yeah, cryocons. And Jeffrey Dahmer was apparently cryo-frozen in this world. So
Wesley Snipes is like, Jeffrey Dahmer, I love that guy.
Yeah. So, if you've been living under a rock, Jeffrey Dahmer was, like, someone that killed and dismembered 17 men and boys from 1978 to 1991. So, they called him the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster.
And he was beaten to death in jail the year after this movie came out.
Yeah, he was an American serial killer and sex offender. So, yeah. There you have it.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Who beat him to death?
Other prisoners.
John Spartan.
Simon Phoenix.
He's like, I love that guy. To kill.
He had Jesse Ventura do it.
Yeah, he's like, hey. Cool. Guy from Beetlejuice starts running away. Snipes is like, where are you going? And he's like, best of luck to you, sir. And Snipes just says, stupid. That's like the second time he's done that in this movie, where he just says, stupid. Because he said it the other time when he fought the police and he knocked all of them out, and he was like, stupid.
Got him.
So, like, a giant claw comes down and grabs John Spartan, because it's, like, the claw they used to, like, pick up the cryocons to, like, put him in and out of, like, or take him out of stasis to, like, dethaw them. And, like, it grabs John Spartan, but as it does, it makes, like, a monster noise. I think it was just, like, the motors, but it was like, I was like, hey. Again, I have a note about Wesley Snipes is totally the Joker in this movie. Because he's, like, toying with fucking John Spartan. He's, like, missing his shots on purpose while he's, like, in the claw.
And making jokes.
Yeah. So, like, Wesley Snipes is using a laser, and it starts messing up. And so, like every action movie, he hits it against something, and then it, like, turns into, like, the proton pack from, like, the Ghostbusters, and it, like, makes it even more powerful. Which I thought was, like, freaking out of control. Let's see. We're getting to the end of this movie, actually. But yeah, this is where I say, like, I feel like Wesley Snipes would have made an awesome Joker. He could have played, I mean, like, even if they did now, he could play, like, an older Joker. Like, he just plays their crazy character that laughs really well. But,
No doubt.
It's awesome. Okay, so do you have any other notes? I'm going to get to the part where the climax of this movie. To a degree.
I have a couple others, but we haven't hit them yet.
Okay. So, Sylvester Stallone freezes Wesley Snipes. And as you do in an action movie, he's like swings around and kicks Wesley Snipes' head off and says "heads up" as it hits the ground and smashes. And it smashes into like into a bloody frozen mess. And I guess all I have to say is I hope nobody else like unjustly got frozen like John Spartan did, because he like fucking blows up the fucking place.
Yeah, all the maniacs are killed.
But like, how many other people were like unjustly put in there like him? You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best villain deaths out there. I was trying to think of a better one, and the only one I could think of was from Under Siege. Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. Broken Arrow is pretty good too.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Where fucking the missile goes and he's like, oh, or whatever.
And then he gets like halved.
Yeah, isn't it like the missiles goes through him or whatever?
Yeah, it launches them out of the train.
Yeah, it's like, what? Under Siege, though, is Gary
Busey in Drop Zone. I think I sent you that clip.
Yeah.
Where he falls off the building, but then like into a windshield.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah.
Under Siege, it's like, I like that movie, but that's the only movie I've ever seen where there's no actual fights in the movie.
That's how all Seagal movies are. He completely dominates every fight.
Which is like, something
no one has a chance.
Yeah, something I think is interesting, but like the more I see it, the more I'm like, this is bullshit. It's like, it's a horrible fight.
I love it. But that's for a different podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, like I can't really think of any other good ones. Well, there are plenty of good ones, but I'm trying to think of like I don't know, the problem is like there's not a lot of like the memorable ones mainly are like like Hans Gruber when he falls out of the fucking the shit, that's super memorable. But like it's also you have to have a memorable bad guy like that, which a lot of movies don't. Sadly, they like don't invest enough time into their bad guys. They're just guys to fucking kill. They have no personality, which is like, the whole problem with like Marvel movies. So, do you have any other notes? Because I have a couple notes about the ending, like the credits.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to talk about more than anything else.
All the credits?
The Demolition Man song.
Yeah! Yeah, that song I'd never heard before, but like, as it's playing...
Why would you have? It's total crap.
I said, don't mess around with the Demolition Man song that's playing. Don't know if the song was created for maybe just this movie or what, but apparently it was performed by Sting. And then I was like, the Demolition song in the end credits is almost like it has a riff from like Mortal Kombat. Because it's like, wah, 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 but it's like kind of off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's really, really bad. But like, you can barely understand what he's saying. Like,
the
first thing I thought of was he sings with such low energy. It's like Bruno should have done this song.
Yeah, it was. That would actually be pretty cool. Bruce Willis did a song
exactly.
For a fucking
cover. Demolition Man.
Dude, I will say like the beginning of this song's actually not too bad, but then like once he starts singing, then you're like, I can't understand what the fuck you're saying.
And I hate the way he sings it because it's like, I'm a demolition man.
Yeah. That's funny.
I wanted to read the lyrics.
Oh shit, dude!
They make no sense.
Hold on.
Tied to the tracks and the train's just coming. Strapped to the wing with the engine running. You say this wasn't in your plan. Don't mess around with the Demolition Man. So it's like he's just like torturing and murdering people? Like tying people to train tracks and strapping them to the wing?
Yeah. Keep going.
Tied to a chair and the bomb is ticking. This situation was not of your picking. You say that this wasn't in your plan. Don't mess around with the Demolition Man. Like, okay, so he's tying people to chairs and blowing them up? I am a walking nightmare, an arsenal of doom. I kill conversation as I walk into a room. It's like, that's his biggest crime, is killing conversation. I'm a 3-line whip, which I didn't know. I had to look up what that means, and basically it's a political term for someone who only votes according to their party line, which, okay, doesn't really make any sense at all. in the song.
So, like, if you, like, register as, like, say, a Democrat or Republican, that's only how you'll ever vote? Is that what they're saying?
Apparently. And I think it's more associated with the British political system. But I'm a 3-line whip. I'm the sort of thing they ban. I'm a walking disaster. I'm a demolition man. Like, good Lord, man. Walking disaster. You come to me like a moth to the flame. It's love you need, but I don't play that game. Because you could be my greatest fan. I'm nobody's friend. I'm a demolition man.
Jesus.
Like, what? It doesn't even make sense at all. So, yeah, those are the lyrics.
Yeah, I looked it up, and it looks like the rest of them are literally just the same. It's like, I'm a walking nightmare in Arsenal of Doom again, and then it just says Demolition Man.
It's like Demolition
9
Man,
times.
Demolition Man, Demolition Man, Demolition Man.
9 more times. It's like, cool. So literally he wrote maybe 8 or 9 lines, because you say that wasn't in your plan and don't mess around with the Demolition Man is repeated
Yeah.
twice. He does this one little thing here twice, and then he has the only original stuff he doesn't repeat is the "you come to me like a moth to the flame," like that whole line stuff. Because tied to the tracks and, like, tied to a chair, like, I especially like that, tied to a chair and the bomb is ticking. This situation was not of your picking. Like, who the
But
fuck?
who's he talking to?
Who the fuck would
Like,
pick to be tied to a chair with a bomb?
Is he talking to Sandra Bullock's character? Because he's like, you come to me like a moth to the flame. It's love you need, but I don't play that game, even though he did play that game in the movie.
Yeah, and he was married.
You could be my greatest fan, which she was.
Yeah.
But then he says, I'm nobody's friend. I'm a demolition man.
Right.
But they were friends at the end.
Not only that, but that makes no sense because before all this happened, he had a fucking wife and a daughter.
Yeah.
Tied to the tracks and the train's just coming. Strapped to the wing with the engine running.
Good stuff. Only would have been better if done by Bruno.
Walking nightmare in Arsenal of Doom. I'll kill. I think the weirdest part of this whole thing is I'm a 3-line whip. That had to be like something for his friends he put in, because isn't Sting fucking from like England or something?
Yeah.
I'm sure they all thought it was hilarious, but fucking, yeah. If you have to look up what something means, like, dude, fuck off.
I know.
But yeah.
All right, I gotta wrap up here, but
was that a thumbs up?
Yeah, big thumbs up. Made me want to watch more Stallone movies.
It's true.
More 90s action movies.
Yeah. I don't really know of any other Stallone movies besides Rocky and Rambo that I would suggest.
Well, this came out the same year as Cliffhanger, which is also another classic.
Yeah. I think we mentioned that earlier.
Strong year for Stallone.
Yeah. I think that was kind of his comeback, because I read that he was doing a couple of movies that weren't super great. And then he did...
Yeah, because before that it was like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah, that kind of shit, yeah. And then he ended up doing Cliffhanger, which was huge, and then this was pretty successful too, actually. So, cool.
Cool, man.
Any other thoughts?
No, we'll have to think of what to do for the next episode.
Yep, this coming week we'll have to think of something. So, everybody, thanks for joining us. And we'll talk to you later. I'll let you have the last line, Matt.
Watch out. It's a maniac. It's a freak.
Peace.